Hello friends, I am Amir Mehboob, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Friends, in the last module, I talked to you about communication, types of communication, process of communication, and barriers to communication. We also discussed about the meaning and definition of communication. Communication is a very important process, and of course, it is a process which is required for the effective conduction of business and of course for the effective conduction of life. Communication, in simple words, is the process of transmitting your views, your ideas, your opinions, your facts and your beliefs from one person to another. Whether it is verbal communication or non-verbal communication, oral communication or written communication, it is very necessary for every manager and to be more precise for every individual that simply communication is not enough. Doing communication is not enough. Doing communication in the right manner and in an effective manner is very necessary. So communication, if you want to be properly done and if you want the objective of the communication to be achieved, then you must make sure that your communication is effective. And of course, if the communication is not effective, the objective, the purpose, the intention or of course the reason of communication will be defeated and the feedback will not be proper and will not be appropriate. So friends, today I will be talking to all of you, I will be explaining you in detail about the essentials of effective communication. What are those points, what are those characteristics which are required for making communication effective? How can you become an effective communicator? How can you leave an impression? And of course, how can you have perfect communication? So these are some points which under which I will be talking about on this topic, essentials of effective communication. First of all, my dear friends, dear students, it is very necessary to have positive and pleasant approach. Right in the beginning, when you start talking or when you start writing a letter, your approach, your attitude should be very positive and pleasant. Don't have negative attitude. No, don't have negative approach. Okay, always start communication and have a positive and pleasant approach if you want to make communication effective. Next point which will make your communication effective, dear listeners, is appropriate tone, pitch, quality, force and intensity of voice. Yes, it is also known as your voice modulation, your accent, your tone, your diction, your pitch of your language, how you raise your pitch, how you fall your pitch. My dear students, what you speak is important, but how you speak is more important. Yes, and who you are and who you are talking to will decide your pitch, will decide your tone. You know, it should not be a very monotonous tone. So your intensity of your voice, tone, pitch. Hello, good morning friends, how are you? See how I am raising my voice. When you are listening to any FM radio or you are watching any program on TV or if you are watching any interviews of any celebrities or cricketers or any stars, you might have noticed how nicely they bring variations, they modulate their voice, their tone, their pitch, their accent, their voice modulation and the quality, the force depends, matters, they use that thing very properly and very effectively. If it is something very sad, when the person is sharing any sad news, of course, the intensity of voice. I am extremely sorry to inform all of you like this, it will like. And if you are very happy, euphoric, hello, good morning, I want to share a very happy news. So these things will make your communication effective, proper tone, proper pitch, proper accent, proper diction, quality of your voice and intensity of your voice should be right according to the occasion, according to the purpose, according to the theme and who you are talking to, what is your relationship. Of course, if you are talking to your boss, if you are talking to the higher ups, then your tone will be according to that only and vice versa. Then next we come to the clarity of purpose and objective of communication. Every sender, as I told you that in every communication there are two parties, a sender and a receiver. So every sender must have the purpose and the objective of communication clear in his mind. He should know what he is talking about and what is the purpose, what is the objective, what is the reason. Unless, suppose I am a sender and today my objective, my purpose is very clear when I am communicating with all of you. My objective is to give you good knowledge about communication. And if I myself, the sender, who is the main person in communication, is not clear, then obviously I will confuse my listeners, which I should not do. So clarity of purpose and clarity of objective is very important. Then clarity of thoughts and expressions. You know your thoughts, what are your thoughts and expressions? You should be clear. You should be clearly able to explain and mention. Very important if you want to make your communication effective is adequate knowledge of the subject. My English is excellent, suppose. I have excellent knowledge, command over language, but unless and until I have proper knowledge of the subject on which I am communicating, it will not be effective communication. So, I must have good knowledge of the subject, whatever I am talking. If I am taking part in a discussion or a group discussion, only my command of language will not be sufficient. I must have proper knowledge about the subject, what is going on, subject of discussion. Only then I will be able to do justice and my communication will be effective. Then adequate knowledge of the communication receiver. Communication receiver, who are my target audience? Suppose if somebody tells me that tomorrow you have to take a class, or tomorrow you have to deliver a lecture, or tomorrow you have to deliver a speech. My first question will be, who will be my audience? Who will be my listeners? If they tell you have to go in a school and talk to kindergarten children, KG, then definitely I know that what is the level of my students, of my listeners, and my speech, my lecture, my talk will be according to my target audience. Then approach should be realistic, of course, positive approach and realistic approach. If your approach is not realistic, your communication will never be effective. Then, of course, self-confidence and conviction. There is no substitute to self-confidence. Making communication effective and self-confidence go hand in hand. Yes, without confidence, you cannot make it. You might have heard so many orators, speakers, commentators, politicians, celebrities, your teachers, your role models, your parents. Of course, yes, they are confident. They are confident enough. They don't have stage fear. They don't have public speaking fear. They don't hesitate. Yes, lack of hesitation. Yes, of course, if you are hesitant, if you have got hesitation, and if you have lack of confidence, then definitely communication will be ineffective. So confidence is the key to having successful communication and effective communication. Properly organizing of message. You should organize your message properly. First things first, the more important thing first, in a proper sequence, in a proper chronological order, your message should be organized, and you should make sure that if in that limited, whatever time is given to you, you should leave out the less important things and you should cover the more important things. That is what organization of the message is all about, which is necessary and mandatory for making communication effective. Selection of media and proper selection of media and use of media. Suppose if I want to take a meeting with people who are scattered all over the world, definitely I will choose the right media, that is online platform, or making a telephone call or Skype meeting. So selection of the right media is very important. Which media are you using? Electronic media, print media, or face to face. Suppose if you are conducting a research in the market, you should know that what will be your sources of collection of data. Okay, selection of the right media and the right channel. Then proper selection and the use of channel. Proper selection and the use of the channel is also very important. Okay, you should use proper channel. Of course, after selection of the media, the right channel. Okay, newspaper, magazine, radio, television, telephone, mobile, WhatsApp, internet. What channel are you using? Lecture method or counseling method or discussion method. Proper channel you should use according to the nature of the conversation. Then appropriate formality. Who you are and who you are talking to will decide what is your role, what is your post, will decide your formality, and according to your designation, according to your portfolio, you will decide the formality. Then you must have patience in listening. Of course, listening is an art, listening is an art. It is said that if you want to be a good speaker, first you have to be a good listener. God also wants us to speak less and listen more. That is why we have only one mouth to speak and 2 ears to listen. So patience in listening is very, very important. If the listeners are not listening properly and if they don't have patience in listening, if they are getting distracted or if they are getting disturbed or if they are getting, any messages in between or some disturbances from outside, physical disturbance, anything, it will not be good listening. So proper listening, patience in listening is very much required for making your communication effective. Adaptability and attentiveness, of course. You have to be adaptable and you have to be attentive, receptive. Yes, you have to receive. You should be ready to adapt things, adapt to new changes, and of course, attentiveness. Some people, they are not attentive. They think that they know everything. They are complete. So that is wrong. Nobody is perfect in this world. You should pay attention. When we teachers are teaching in the classrooms, we always tell our students that please be attentive, please pay attention. At any point of time, if you don't understand anything, you must ask your queries to the teachers. So that is paying attention. Paying attention is very important and it will make your communication effective, and of course, it will make your communication meaningful and productive. You attitude is very important. In any conversation, in any dialogue, in any communication, instead of talking I, you should focus on the wants, on the needs, on the desires, on the interest of the other person, the listener. Instead of using the word I should use you. If I am only blowing my own trumpets, if I am only talking about myself, I think my listeners will not be interested in that. And ultimately, they will start ignoring me and they will start turning a deaf ear and the communication will be a wastage. You attitude is very important. You should be courteous. This comes under 7 C's of communication. 7 C's which are required for making your communication effective. Clarity, completeness, conciseness, correctness, concreteness, comprehensiveness, and courtesy. You should be courteous. Yes, humble, polite, gentle, kind, sensible. Don't be rude. Don't be harsh. Don't be aggressive. If you want to make your communication effective, you should be courteous. And time factor. You should take care of time consideration. You should not overload the audience with time. It should not be over communication. It should neither be under communication nor it should be over communication. Time factor. Time should be respected. Of course. Then conciseness and relevance. You should be concise, precise, to the point, concrete. Okay, don't be very lengthy. Conciseness it is said that brevity is the soul of wit. So be concise and precise. Okay, be selective in your language. Select proper words. Avoid technical jargon and avoid roundabout verbiage. Instead of using big, heavy, tough, bombastic and overused words, we should use simple and understandable vocabulary and simple language. Second last point is correctness. Of course, if we are using in our communication, if we are using any facts and figures, we should be correct, we should be accurate. Statistical figures or any data or any technical aspects, we have no right to misguide or to confuse our audience, our dear listeners. Correctness is very important. As I told you about the 7 C's of communication. So correctness is also an important C of communication which will make the communication effective. You should be correct, appropriate and accurate. Last but not the least, another C is completeness. Your communication should be complete in all respects. For example, today I am communicating with all of you, my dear listeners, my dear friends, on essentials of effective communication. If it is not clear, if it is not complete, if it is not concise, if it is not concrete, definitely it will not be a good presentation. It will not be effective communication. So friends, thank you very much, my dear listeners. BSSS always takes pride in bringing meaningful and useful videos on important and useful topics. All our speakers, they do justice with all the topics. I am sure today all of you have learned something important, because communication is an important quality which is required for all of us. It will definitely, if you are excellent in communication, if you are effective communicator, it will take your career graph to greater heights. Thank you very much for your patient listening. And of course, had there not been your patient listening, had you not been patient in listening, my communication would not have been effective. I tried my level best to make my today's oral communication effective on the topic essentials of effective communication. Thank you. Have a nice day. I'll be back with a new module on a new topic.